Welcome back to Six String Gaming, your source for, I don't know, we're doing a lot of stuff here. Today we're gonna talk about webcams. Do you have a webcam? I hope you do. If you don't, you need one. So go off to Amazon, get yourself something, Best Buy, wherever you need to go to make it happen. I admit it's gonna be a little bit hard to do that right now because with the Corona boom, everyone's buying up stock for webcams, streaming accessories, microphones, all that stuff. Prices are getting skyrocketed right now. If you have one, terrific. I hope that's why you're here, because you wanna learn something. If you're at all involved in streaming or content creation, you're probably aware of how many people are out there using really nice digital cameras, full frame DSLRs, or mirrorless rigs. The kind of stuff you look at and it makes you really jealous because you want to have it. I'm here to tell you, you don't necessarily need that. That dusty, dinky, $30 little webcam that you've had lying around forever, that can be your best friend today. Webcams are cheaper than digital cameras, and most webcams today are honestly pretty good. They offer a good value with their quality for the not a lot of money you're gonna be paying to get them. Overall, the value of a webcam is absolutely terrific, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to go in to the webcam software, tweak it a little bit, and make it look pretty darn good. Or at least better than where you started with. And honestly, a webcam is probably the most essential and cheapest investment you can make towards your streaming or content creation career. Plus, you'll look terrific at your next family Zoom meeting. Quick note before we jump in, as with anything to do with streaming or making videos, lighting is super important. The more light you can provide yourself and your room before you start tweaking this stuff, the better the end result is gonna be and the happier you will be and your viewers. I've got a basic 2-pack. I think they're Neewer lights. One is right in front of me and then one is behind me, sort of illuminating my back and the rest of the room. Let's jump over to OBS and Webcam Jesse can take it from there. Side note, I'm using a Logitech C920. It's only the second webcam I've ever bought, and it honestly is probably the last one I'll ever need to use. All right, let's go.
All right, here we are in Streamlabs. Let's start with the first thing here. Open up the Logitech gaming software. You should already have this. If you don't, download it from Logitech's website. It's basically the driver software that you need to be able to even use your webcam in the first place, so you probably have this. Open it up. I start with adjusting the crop. I don't like this sort of weird zoomed out look that's going on right now where you can only see one of my arms in the frame, so I'm gonna hit this plus button up here to adjust the crop a little bit, and then we move it up, give myself some headroom, then move it over just to the point where you can start to see my computer monitor, and then boop, stop it right there. This is sort of how I like to have my webcam set up for the live streaming. I have my Vox in the background, computers here. The framing of it looks very aesthetic to me. That's one of the simplest things you can do right off the bat to make yourself look better before you even touch the settings. Just get the crop set properly. So now we're gonna click the advanced button here. And the first thing you wanna do, take this out of auto mode. Auto mode is not doing you any favors right now. The first thing we're gonna do is click the camera control tab over here and uncheck auto exposure. This will give us manual control over the exposure of the webcam, which by default, I think it looks okay. It's a little bright. I'm sort of washed out here. I look very shiny. So just by lowering the exposure by 1, taking it to 6, I think that makes it look fantastic already. You can tell it's a little bit dark, so we can play with some other settings as well. If the low light compensation box is checked for you, make sure you untick that as well. You don't need that on. Go back to video proc amp here. Now the first thing I do is play with the gain a little bit. By default, I think it's somewhere around maybe 90 or 100 it might be for you, but you can see if we raise that back up, things start to get a little more blown out, a little too bright almost. I like having my gain set somewhere down in the 50-60 range. It darkens the background a little bit, but keeps me pretty well lit. And the next thing I do is increase the contrast just a little bit. Make all those colors just a little bit darker, a little more vivid. And from there, depending on how your footage looks, you can either increase or decrease the brightness. I don't mind it where it's at, but if we up it just a touch, you can see now I'm a little bit brighter without being blown out or overexposed. The next thing I like to do is add just a little bit of saturation to boost the colors there a little bit. Saturation is one of those sliders where it's so easy to overdo it, so a little bit goes a long way. Be careful with that one. Sharpness I wouldn't mess with too much because that's sort of already affected by how in focus you are. As long as you're relatively well lit, the autofocus on webcams, or at least the Logitech C920, seems to do a pretty good job on its own. What we will do, however, is uncheck the auto function on the white balance. You can see instantly it warmed up the image a little bit. It brought back some reds, but if that looks a little too warm or a little too red for you, put it back on or just play around with the slider altogether. You can see if we drop it down low, it cools the image a lot. Everything's very blue. If we bring it up, that'll inject more reds in it, and it just gives it sort of that desert sepia look. Let's bring it back somewhere down in the middle. Enable auto again. I think that looks good enough as is. Backlight comp is another one of those ones I don't really mess with. It's an on or off function. Makes the image look too washed out. So once you're done with that, click apply, click OK, and you're done. Whether you're filming or you're on a Zoom call or you're streaming in OBS or Streamlabs, your webcam source will look as you have adjusted it, and it should look miles ahead of where you started from. Remember that all these settings are super subjective based on what sort of lighting setup you have, what webcam you're using, but the function of using the software, it won't change. These are basic manual control functions that you're going to be using no matter what your camera, webcam, or digital or otherwise.
Hopefully this was super rewarding to you and you learned something. Maybe not. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you probably learned something because hopefully you went in not knowing anything. Taking the time to adjust all the manual settings and find what works perfectly for you with your room and lighting setup in regards to your webcam is one of the easiest, simplest, and quickest things you can do to improve your stream. Instantly. If you like what you see, you want to see more, subscribe to the 6string Gaming channel. You can follow me on Instagram, also at 6string Gaming. I'm on Twitter and Twitch at 6string92. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you there. If this was helpful for you, leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of webcam you're working with. Who's got the nastiest, darkest lit room with the worst, oldest, crappiest webcam? I want to see your before and after pictures. Let me know what worked for you here and what didn't. This is 6string Gaming, and from me to you, thank you so much for watching.